Welcome to the channel. My name is Benji, and today we have a fiery ass chapter to discuss. Because in this chapter, we actually get to see the main antagonist in One Piece finally move his chess piece. Imu Sama, at least that's what I call him, who we see in this chapter, who is hinted at to be the king of the world. But I do want to make some special news. This will be the new channel for One Piece content aside from the Geek Giant podcast. This channel will be more so dedicated to One Piece as well as other anime and manga series that I'm very much interested in that don't necessarily fit with the Geek Giant platform. So please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I promise you, I will not let you down with the content in this channel. And also, I hope you like the name, Smoke Benji. Yeah. I would really appreciate it if you join me on this journey with One Piece as well as other anime and manga series that I deem appropriate for this channel. And that also means some spicy manga along the way. So make sure to be on the lookout for that. But man, I am too excited to talk about this chapter. Let's go ahead and get into the chapter review. So to start off, there's not one but two arts that I would like to show off in this chapter of One Piece that we are given. One for the Shonen Jump magazine cover is basically Luffy in his Gear 5th form, and it looks swaggy, my boys. And then we get a pretty dope color spread of the Straw Hats, and I do want to let you know, we do see Sanji as the right-hand man to Luffy. And then you get to Zoro, of course. I'm joking. But yeah, Zoro standing to the left of Luffy in this panel, as well as Sanji standing to the right of Luffy. Luffy's sitting on a polar bear, but that's not weird at all. But on to the chapter, we begin with the Straw Hats, and Luffy seems to be adamantly upset about something. And it's the fact that the newspaper that Robin is reading currently describes that Sabo, Luffy's brother, has killed Cobra of Alabasta. And Luffy is upset because he knows Sabo would never do such a thing. And in addition to the news of Cobra's death and Sabo's guilt, seemingly, we also get the news that Vivi is missing. And with this news, Luffy wants to immediately head straight for Alabasta in rescue of Vivi, and hopefully to get some answers about his brother Sabo. Yet this is met with disapproval from Zoro, and he says this: "The man's dead. Besides, Vivi was last seen in Marijwa." And we get more banter between Zoro and Luffy, and the funny part is, when all of this has happened, Luffy says this to Zoro. Luffy actually calls Zoro a chicken for not wanting to go ahead with this mission to Alabasta or Marijwa. And remember, I didn't say this. Luffy did, so you can't come for me for saying it. Luffy called Zoro a chicken. That's funny. I'm just kidding. Anyways, we soon get the reaction of the entirety of the crew, being left with a sense of grief and curiosity about the whereabouts of Vivi and the mystery of Sabo, especially after the time span it has happened while they were in Wano. The world and its events has drastically changed. But the voice of reason in this situation is Zoro. And I actually really do love this about Zoro, especially in this chapter, because we really haven't got that voice of reason kind of moment from Zoro, not too much in Wano. But we were able to get that a lot during the pre-time skip. And Zoro actually lets Luffy know about something that he once said about Ace. Ace has his own adventure. And this is followed by a classic funny face from our boy, Luffy. And then Zoro kind of reiterates a little bit more and says this: "You trusted him to make his own way up until the point where he actually needed help. Vivi can hold her own." And I'll paraphrase from here on out, but Zoro basically says that, if Vivi is truly in trouble, they'll definitely make way in order to rescue her. And like I said before, I'm not gonna lie, this is one of my favorite moments from Zoro, really kind of getting to his voice of reason bag as a, right-hand man to Luffy. But I will say this, and this isn't slander in the slightest, I feel like this moment amounts to a lot more than what we got from Zoro in Wano, unfortunately. We didn't really get too many character moments other than Zoro being a badass, but I digress. But like I said before, I feel like this moment for Zoro is actually pretty special and a callback to his pre-time skip era. But though everything that Zoro is saying is right and correct, he is met with some disrespect from the crew, getting called an Oni or an Onigashima by Luffy, and my favorite, getting called a crappy Moss head from my boy Sanji. And we even get a funny moment of Zoro basically clapping back at Sanji, basically saying the shut it number 4, which is very disrespectful, but I did find this moment extremely funny because right afterwards they start scrapping. But also after this, Robin actually details the events or the introduction of the Cross Guild, which comprises of Buggy, the bombastic clown, Mihawk, and Crocodile. And actually, Robin actually says there's more information about people that they may know, but Luffy decides not to get too much information thrown at him, so he declines, and if Robin needs to tell him anything, she'll tell him a little bit later on. Sounds like Luffy's character, I know. But after this, Luffy starts to reminisce about his time with Sabo and Ace, and he knows definitively that Sabo is innocent, and even reiterates what Sabo has dreams for, and why killing Cobra wouldn't align with those dreams. And then we get such a tease of a moment. Why are you doing this to us, Oda? He recalls the very moment which I believe got in the chapter 500 era. I'll put it down below when I show the panel. But basically he teases the moment of when Luffy actually described his dream to Ace and Sabo. And he finds that this is the moment to finally tell his crew what his dream is. And the reaction of the crew is very mixed, some confused, some laughing, and some completely shocked. But one thing I would love to point out is the reaction of the monster trio, Zoro and Sanji. If you recall the first time that Luffy actually reiterated his dream to Ace and Sabo, their reactions, the monster trio's reactions to Ace and Sabo's reaction is very much parallel. But not only that, but the reaction of when Roger actually told his dream, which we do surmise is similar to Luffy's dream, was the same as when Odin and Whitebeard heard it. And man, like, tell me again and again, I love how Oda does these nice little callbacks. There's so many different little callbacks in this chapter alone. It just makes me love One Piece. And I swear to God, I'm not dick writing. But the one thing that I really want to know is, what is Luffy's dream? Like, it has to be something on par with what we've seen from Luffy before. But at the same time, I feel like Luffy's dream has some amount of nuance to it. And I don't know, like, it really makes me curious to know what Luffy wants. And the only way that he can reach this dream is by becoming the king of the pirates. Luffy also says that the only people who know about this dream were Ace, Sabo, and Shanks. But I also do believe that Rayleigh, Momo, as well as Yamato all know of Luffy's dream as well, because it's very similar to Roger's, I believe. And then Luffy ends the dialogue in a very beautiful panel by saying this: "That's what I want at the end of my dream." But the morale after hearing what Luffy's dream is actually very much positive. And they all understand in order for Luffy to truly be able to execute his dream, they'll have to further predicate Luffy becoming the king of the pirates. And whatever this dream might be, I'm very interested to see what you guys think in the comments down below. But moving on, we actually get Frankie saying that in order for this dream to come true and for Luffy to become the king of the pirates, they need to find the last poneglyph, as well as make their way to Laugh Tale. But Robin gives the crew a reality check, and she says this: "It's been a long time since the poneglyph was last seen. We don't have any clue where to look for this poneglyph in the first place." Now, Robin made it seem like it's going to be a lot of work in order to find this very last poneglyph, especially since we don't know where it is located at. But I guess we can surmise that it is in Elbaf, possibly Shanks' territory. But then we move on to some of the craziest shit that we have seen since the battle between Luffy and Kaido. And I don't necessarily think it tops it, but it's very close. But we cut to the Navy headquarters of the world, and back to the events that are happening with Sabo. And the Marines are actually tracing back the location of where Sabo is currently, and we even see the Gorosei. We find out that Sabo is seeking refuge in Lulusia Kingdom. And the Gorosei seem very interested in the Lulusia kingdom because they are one of 8 rebelling countries after the events of what happened in Marijwa with Sabo and the admirals. But then we see a multitude of very eerie collaborations of panels from each member of the Gorosei, each of them saying these lines. Lulusia, really now, I see. He's an unlucky man. No, this is fate. Hinting at a misfortune of Sabo actually being there. Sabo finally gets in contact with the revolutionaries and Dragon, and he looks pretty beaten up. But he explains to his comrades that he is fine, but he also says that he had nothing to do with the death of Cobra, which I believe should have been obvious at this point, but I digress. But this is when things take a crazy turn for the worst. The citizens of Lulusia begin to see a figure take shape over their skies. Sabo is frantically talking to Dragon as this is taking place. Listen, when I was in Marijwa, I saw something unbelievable. Sabo continues. It happened in the throne room in Pangaea Castle. I thought that there was no king of the world. Kind of seemingly asking Dragon that there has been no evidence up to this point of a king of the world. And this kind of makes me also seem that maybe does Dragon have knowledge that there is a king of the world? I would like to know that too. But the empty throne wasn't empty. I saw. And this is what makes the prospect of what One Piece can be very dark and eerie from this point on out. For the tracking feed from the Marines to Sabo's connection is being jammed. They're not able to hear what Sabo was saying for this specific reason. And we get this dialogue from the Gorosei as well. As far as the surveillance division is concerned, no one detected anything abnormal today. No information was intercepted. And as for Lulusia, that country never existed. And holy we see one of the most destructive panels that we've ever seen in One Piece. And this is what leads me to believe that this is what a great cleansing actually looks like. We see not only the reaction of Sabo, who looks absolutely baffled about what he sees in the sky, but we finally see more glimpses of Im-sama disturbing and lurking as well, just making this whole situation crazy. But it also reminds me of the Junji Ito horror manga aesthetic. And this just adds more mystery to what Im-sama is truly capable of. He completely crossed out Lulusia Kingdom while Sabo was talking, and boom! That shit is never going to exist again, my boys. That shit is gone. But a couple of things that I would like to touch on about this very moment in the chapter, which is very hype. For one, I believe that this is definitely considered what the Great Cleansing all entails. This is how the world government has erased so much history in the past and even might what be used for the Void Century. Next, I want you to also notice the 16 specific beams that are landing down on Lulusia Kingdom. Now this is a callback to Doflamingo, who has mentioned 16 sacred bullets of assassination during his battle with Luffy. Now this makes me also much more interested in Dofi and what he truly knows about the true king of the world. And this could be considered an attack that Dofi wanted to emulate after seeing the progenitor of the Great Cleansing. But my biggest question from this is this the work of Im-sama's powers, or are the world government and the celestial dragons in possession of one of the ancient weapons, more specifically Uranus? And I think I found the answer. Check this out. If you remember the nail cover story, I think we can surmise that Oda left us some fun callbacks for us to look at later on. But one of them pertains to this very moment. Check this out. In this panel, Enel is looking at the hieroglyphics and they seem to indicate how the ancient weapons are situated. A reference to Poseidon, the weapon of the sea, or which is also Shirahoshi. A reference to Pluton, the weapon of the land, recently found out to be located within Wano. And Uranus, which we don't necessarily know where it could be until now. So we have the weapon of the sea and the weapon of the land. This leads me to the theory that the weapon that the celestial dragons and the world government possessed is the weapon of the skies. Now, this is a stretch, but we also get reference of the Lunarians and the Shandorians. But there's also one thing that I would love to point out to you. We can see a star-like display in the top of the panel for the cover spread. Now, we can only see about 8 or 9 points within this star, and then the other half is cut off. And what did I tell you before? The destructive power of the weapon used on Lulusia Kingdom was 16 points, or 16 beams. And like I said before, this is a stretch, but I really do believe that this is a hint to Uranus, the weapon of the skies, in One Piece. And it seems that the celestial dragons, or the true king, has possession of this weapon. And this is wild because this is the first time that we've seen any of the destructive power of any of these ancient weapons before, apparently. And lastly, I do have one more question. Did Sabo get packed up? Because it does not look good for my boy, the Flame Emperor, which is a fire name. Because at the end of the chapter, we see nothing of Lulusia, nothing but remnants of what was once a great kingdom. And we also see that the revolutionaries are calling out to Sabo to no avail. But I would love to see what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you guys think about these events transpiring? Do you think that this is the ancient weapon Uranus? And also, what is the whereabouts of Sabo now? But moving on to the end of the chapter, we actually catch back up to the Straw Hats a few days later. And the weather has become very snowy because the climate of the island that they are headed to is very much an icy climate. But it also could be Elbaf, especially during Viking times. Snow was very prevalent during these Nordic countries, so I would like to see whether or not this will be Elbaf. And really quick, look at Chopper. Look at his hat. He looks so cute, man. But the Straw Hats approach a massive warm eddy, which I believe, I don't necessarily know what that is, but I would like to know. It is later discovered that someone is trapped in this warm eddy. And Sanji, with his observational haki, basically says that he knows that it's a lady in distress. You know, master of the observational haki. Later on, we see a badass panel of Zoro using his one sword style and basically slicing the warm eddy in half. We then later see that Chopper actually gets a little bit carried away and actually falls off the boat. And then Luffy, being the captain, tries to rescue him and ends up being careless and falls off the boat as well. But at the very last second, we see that Bonney has come out of the mass of the warm eddy and she is in her kid form. But the fact that it seems like Bonney will be accompanying the Straw Hats from here on out in the Straw Hats' journey, I really much want to see if she's able to brief the Straw Hats on what happened during Marijois, and if she has any details to talk about with Sabo. But no break next week. Let's go! Oda has been going crazy since he came back from the break, and I absolutely love to see it, my boys. I absolutely love this series. I love the fan base. I love everything that's going on within One Piece right now. I'm extremely excited. But please, in the comments down below, please let me know your thoughts on Im-sama, as well as whether or not Sabo turned into a pack, because it's not looking good for Sabo. I do think Sabo is alive, but I just gotta know how. Thank you so much for watching, especially on the new channel. I really appreciate every single one of you guys, and I hope that you continue to rival me on this journey. Hopefully we can get to Revelry at some point. That would be really dope. I love you guys so much. Please subscribe to the Vinsmoke Benji channel, this channel, as well as the Geek Giant Podcast channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. I did it again. Okay. Yeah, you didn't like that? Okay. I apologize. I'll see you guys in the next one.